game on Saturday where you just kind of thought to yourself, well, now what?
No, we just kind of took our loss on the chin and went right back to work. Going to work, correct the things that we made mistakes on, and continue to push forward and not look back in the past. So.
Jeremiah?
Hey, good morning, Power. I want to ask you real quick. Yesterday, we were talking to Cayman, and he had made the point that sometimes you guys will can a play. If you guys feel like it's not effective, like either y'all will go to Gene about that, or maybe he'll bring that up. But just kind of from your perspective, like what's the process of that looking like? Kind of canning a play and kind of redirecting course there.
Really just going back and seeing where the mistakes were made and how we could have been better in a certain look and how a certain call probably would have put us in a better position. So more so just adjusting to what we see and how we should best play certain things.
And then I guess like the other side of that, is the process similar to, wanting to kind of replicate plays or like keep them more and running certain plays more often, if that makes sense?
Yeah, seeing the success rate and, the hit chart and just seeing what works for us, what we feel the most comfortable in is going from there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Luciano?
Hey, Power. Thanks for your time. Hope we're doing well. What have been the main talking points between the defensive players in the locker room after these past two games? Have you felt like there was something important for you to say there? And do you see this upcoming game as an opportunity to bounce back?
Honestly, just one talking point has been just get better and correct the mistakes we've made and just be the people we know we are, be the defense we know we can be, and go out there and just execute.
Adam?
Power, I was going to ask you something else, but when you're saying just now about being the defense that you can be, do you think you guys lost that the last two games, sort of lost your way a little bit? Is that the right way to describe it, or how would you describe it?
I would just describe it as we just didn't we came up short. I'll say we came up short. We didn't do what we came out there to do initially, and we just got to go back to work and get better and move on. Honestly, I feel like that's what we got to do.
Was looking at the some of the advanced stats from the Georgia Tech game, and they had you for 14 missed tackles as a team, and that's the most you have had this season. Like, why do you think that was? Why do you think sort of missed tackles was an issue? And is that something you all like put a focus on? Is that something Gene talks to you about, or do you look at other stats more than like a missed tackle stat?
I mean, you put athletes in space and give them two-way goals. I mean, things can happen, but honestly, we just got to go back to work, focus on the details, stay inside out, and finish the plays. I mean, it's really not like a big talking point because we know we can make tackles. We know we have sure tacklers, and honestly, we just got to come out ready to play and just do our job.
Thanks, man.
Andrew?
Hey, Power, I want to stay on what Adam was asking you about. Gene told us Monday that one of the things that he thought you guys need to work on a little bit more at this point in the season was tackling in space. So the last 2 days of practice, have you done a little bit more of that than you had been maybe in the previous month or so?
I would say yes, sir. Yeah, we've just worked on tackling. Obviously, I feel like we just worked on everything, to be honest, just the scheme, the tackling, just getting back to what we know best and just doing what we do.
A game like you have coming up this weekend, I would imagine human nature being it's sometimes maybe tough for guys in a Power 5 league to get fired up at the same level for a conference game as you have a team like Campbell coming in. But with so many points of emphasis on things for you guys to improve, do you think that the motivation level this week might be a little bit higher than maybe past experiences you've had when you play an FCS game this time of year?
The motivation is always high because the next game is the only opportunity you have to showcase yourself, improve yourself. So for us, it's every game we play is like a big game for us. We don't necessarily look down to our opponent or anything like that. We respect everybody we play, and it's just another big game because it's the next game.
Well, staying on that, and I get that, and I know that human nature sometimes does take over. However, how important is this weekend, regardless of the opponent, for you guys just getting back to doing the things that you were doing earlier in the year on your side of the ball, making the run fits, winning the battle at the snap, and setting the edge and doing the things that maybe weren't there as much the last couple of weeks?
Since the urgency is, it's always important because you know, we don't got a lot of opportunities. We only got 4 games left, so we got to take advantage of everything we get.
Thanks, Power. Appreciate it.
Adam,
Power, a couple weeks ago, you were named a mid-season All-American. I was wondering if you had ever even heard of that as a thing. Did that surprise you at all to hear that you had won that award?
Yeah, I didn't know what that was either. Just I guess they think I'm playing good, so honestly, just go out there to do my job and play for my brothers and my team.
Yeah, did you hear anything from the guys about that? Like, you know, being named that, like Sed or Ruck, some of these other guys who are having great seasons?
No, we kind of just, you know, looked at it, was like, all right, that's cool, and we just moved on.
All right, man. Thanks.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, just to ask you about Campbell, I think it was Mac the other day was saying that you know, kind of talking about their quarterback, some of the things that he does well. When you've looked at that Campbell offense on film, what are some of the things that you kind of identify as their strengths, and just what are some of the things that you feel they do well?
They got a good system. They got run RPO like instead in their offense, so run pass option, and they got a good quarterback, an athletic quarterback. He can put it on the money and, you know, make moves in space if he needs to.
All right, wraps up, Adam.
Yeah, sorry, jumping back in here. Yeah, Power Mac was saying the other day that he was talking about some of the other FCS games you've played, and he was mentioning the Wofford game a couple of years ago, and he said he felt like the energy just was not good, even though you won that game. He said it just wasn't a great feeling. Like, is just the energy sort of an important thing to have ramped up for this week? You know, is that an important area?
Like I said, every game is important. Every time we step out on the field, we have to bring our juice and our energy, and just know who we're playing for and what we're playing for, and how much is at stake. So I feel like every game is a big game. Can't stress it enough.
Good deal, man. Thanks.
Power. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Thank you. All right, gang, bring Omarion in. He got a lift, so I got to be pretty quick. So we'll give him about 10 minutes, if that. All right. Oh. Tyler, he'll take you through it.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Omarion, thanks for your time. Andrew, bat leadoff for us.
Omarion, JJ Jones said yesterday that he's only heard you talk about 4 times since you arrived. He says you're not a big talker, and the thing that impresses him the most, I guess, is that with so much trash talking in football, when you run guys over, he said a lot of defensive players are trying to get into your head, trying to talk to you, and you just kind of drop the ball, look at them, walk back, and go back to the next play. How do you think that kind of works to your advantage, being a guy that doesn't get involved in a trash talking? You just kind of show them up with your play instead of your mouth?
Really, I just try to just play my game. I know my game, just gonna do talking, and just I just be so locked in during the game, just trying to focus on like the defense and everything. So I mean, I just be really locked in. So
when you're wrapped up by a 330-pound guy and you shake free and you run into the end zone like you did the other night, do you have any inclination at all to kind of go by, at least give him a look or make a little eye contact that you just kind of show him up again like you just did on the field?
no, sir. I'm just playing my game and then just keep going. It was early on in the game, so I just got to keep playing throughout the game.
Very, very quickly. Have you said something to JJ more than 4 times? Is he just playing with us? You talk to him more than that?
Yeah, I talked to him more than that.
Good stuff. Thanks, man.
Jeremiah.
Good morning, Omarion. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to ask you, right now, currently you're ranked number 1 in ACC in yards, and then I believe number 4 nationally. But for you, what were some of the goals that you had for yourself going into the year? I don't know if it was numbers, stats, or whatever, but what were some of the goals that you had for yourself this year coming into the season?
Really, I haven't even noticing it. Really, I probably just wait until after the season to look at everything, but I haven't really thought about any like stats or anything. I just go out there, try to make every play my best play, and then see where it gets me.
And you've also been, kind of credited for your pass protection as well in recent weeks. I believe you talked about it a little bit earlier this season, but how do you feel you've kind of come along in that area as the seasons progress?
Really just getting more comfortable with it. I feel like from this year, the game slowed down a little bit just because I know like a lot more about the defense and everything, who to pick up, and just how to pass protect, really.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Adam?
Omarion, of course you would be going to lift weights, right? Wanted to the run at Georgia Tech the other night where you shook the 333-pound dude. Can you just take us through that step by step? Because like I think it was William Barnes we were talking to yesterday was saying, he didn't realize what had even happened, that he just, heard the crowd booing and thought it was kind of confused by it. Like, so it looked like you're stopped, obviously, but then you were not. So like, can you sort of take us through that step by step, what you saw and how you did what you did?
I just think it was a messed up protection and everything. So I mean, the main thing, just try to do damage control. So I just try to get back through the line, see what I could do, and then just try to just get through, really.
Okay, so that's simple.
Yeah.
The numbers, it's 72 carries for you the last 3 games, which is a pretty good workload. I mean, you only had 88 all of last season. I mean, how would you say your body is feeling at this point in the year with all the sort of the more work that you've had this year, and how do you think you're holding up?
It'd be sore after the games a little bit, but I just know I got to get into like the ice bath and everything, just doing rehab every day. And then by the time it hits like Friday, I'd be feeling good.
Thanks, man.
Luciano?
Hey, Omarion, hope you're well, and thanks for your time. To follow up a bit on Jeremiah's question, you already have over 10 total touchdowns in the season, 3 consecutive games over 100 yards. How would you evaluate your season so far?
I think it's going good, but I think I still got a lot to build on throughout the season. I feel like I'm gonna try to make this next game and like the game zone, just try to make them my best game. So just try to keep building on game by game, practice by practice.
Awesome, thanks.
Jeremiah?
Omarion, just kind of curious, with the style of running back that you are, who are some of the players that you kind of were watching growing up, whether NFL or college, that you kind of, modeled your game after, that kind of, physical downhill type of running back?
I really just watched all the running backs, really just looking at everybody I know as a kid. I used to watch Marshawn and just all those type of backs, just growing up, looking at them, see how they run, and just taking tips off them.
Adam?
Omarion, how have you tried to improve as a pass catcher out of the backfield? Because that's a part of your game I mean, in addition to everything else, it's a part of your game that looks like it's improved, and you're a threat now, catching the ball and making stuff happen. Like, how have you gone about working on that and making it better?
Really just every day trying to focus on that. And then during the off season, that was a big thing, that and pass protection that I wanted to work on and get better at. So I mean, really just working on it every day.
So how did you work on it? Like, what did you do?
Just stay out the practice, getting catches in with Drake, catches in with Connor, just going through routes and everything, just stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Andrew, wrap us up.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your vision. We talked to you earlier in the year about it, and I know that was a point of emphasis last year, having great vision immediately when you got the ball, even before you got the ball. JJ said yesterday that that's the thing that he's seen improve a lot from you since the season started, and Coach Lindsey said the same thing as well. You go back to August to now that each week your vision's getting better. Can you kind of take us through that process of your vision getting better and how you see it helping you each week as far as hitting the right hole and being able to squeak through some small holes because the vision gets you there a little bit quicker?
Really just slowing down, looking at everything, figuring out what the O-line is doing, figuring out what the defense is doing. And then once you figure out those things, you get more comfortable with it. So I feel like it just slows down the whole game, and then it opens up your vision more.
When you say slowing down, we all see you playing a lot faster. You're talking about how you're able to process a lot more immediately. So it seems slow to you, but you're moving even faster because it's slower. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Omarion, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.
Gotcha. With Tyler here, I'll take you through it.
Okay.
And make you look taller.
All righty. Coach, thanks for your time.
Hey, no problem.
Michael starts off.
Tyler, let him, he got something to say for
Real quick, I just for you guys, obviously this game being a military appreciation week. For me, it's pretty important. Stands out for me only because of what I was able to do for 14 years, probably of my life. So I appreciate the university. I appreciate Coach Brown giving these troops the opportunity to be celebrated because they are heroes, and just their recognition for what they do for us. And really right now, with what's going on in the world at all different parts of the world, it hit homes a little bit more because for me, I got buddies, I got teammates, I got friends who have kids, who are fathers, that are out there defending us and our freedoms while I'm able to coach a game of football. You guys are able to do what you do. So for me, this is an unbelievable week. The motivation, the appreciation. When I wake up in the morning knowing that others are doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. And so I just want to start off by saying that because it is the Military Appreciation Week, and what those young men and women do for our country is amazing. And I'm pretty blessed to have been able to be a part of that for 14 years of my life. So it's going to be a heck of a week. It's going to be a heck of a game. And I can't wait to go see our guys perform to go celebrate the soldiers of our country. Our way.
Thanks, Coach. Michael.
Charlton, I was going to ask, have the guys been extra nice to you this week, sort of being a lot more respectful than usual?
No, they we talked about it early in the week, about our focus, and as you play for different things, they understand who I am and what I'm about, and they understand the intensity we're going to bring in practice. I'm pretty much the same guy. I'm on 10 every day, so they're used to it.
And with the DB room being as banged up as it is, have you seen guys who have to be on the sideline, like Dre Boykins, for example? Has he been sort of, shadowing you, taking up, the coaching moniker while he's rehabbing?
Yeah, he's been as locked in, as engaged as much as he's been able to with his rehab, which was pretty intensive. But he's in meetings at 6:30 in the morning. He's in the room asking questions because he knows his questions may help DJ or Elijah or Caleb Koss. But he's also given them some leadership on the sidelines doing practice. He's rehabbing for an hour. He'll come out, and if he sees something wrong, he's on him just like I would be on him. So I think his presence and his intensity he brings to the room and the group and to our defense as a whole is missed, but he's still heavily involved to help us get through the day.
And just one more quick one, if I can. Have you watched any Air Force games this season? Because they're having a heck of a year.
Of course, I've watched some Air Force games. I watched them throttle Navy. I watched the big win versus Wyoming. I text those guys, Troy. I'm so proud of those guys and what they're doing. And for the first time in school history, college football playoff rankings. And I gave them, a few jabs saying this might be one of the first teams that might be better, have a chance to be better than my team. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
Luciano.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for your time. Hope you're well. You held Georgia Tech to 2 scoreless quarters and allowed all 46 points in the other 2. What would you say that was, and how much of the talk to the players since Saturday has been centered around that?
I think all the talk after a game is about getting better. And every time something good or bad happens in a game, you want to know the why, and you want to dissect it with your players and show them what we could have done better as coaches, what I could have been done better from a preparation standpoint, and what they could have did better from an execution standpoint. And I think a lot of the things We have guys that fight. We have guys that have tremendous effort. And I think as games rock along, you have a tendency for a little thing to lead to bigger things. And we go back and dissect that. And that's what we did all week to try to fix and have answers for the issues we had in the game. I feel like we've done that. And I think our guys have really challenged themselves. We have challenged them to work on the things that cause us harm in that game so that it doesn't happen again.
That's great. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, good morning, Charlton. Thanks for speaking with us. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to ask you about Armani Chapman. He's somebody that, kind of played sparingly to start the season, but over the course of the year, playing a lot more. He's, forced a few turnovers. Behind the scenes, how have you kind of seen him begin to come along?
Sometimes as you take transfers, has spent as much time as he has in an institution. It takes him a while just to get indoctrinated into your culture and adjust to your coaching style. And then there's scheme, and then there's teammates. And I think his hardest thing, which is a testament to him, is he came here and had to have surgery that put him on the shelf for 6 months. So his process didn't really get started till June with the guys, right? And what he was able to do from June to fall camp to September is bank reps and build equity with his teammates and make a play, and then make 3 plays, and then make 4 plays, and then get 10 reps in a game, and he made his 10 reps count. And then he got 20 reps in the game and made those 20 reps count. So now he's getting 60 reps in a game. And we talk to the guys all the time. It's not about how much you play and how many plays you play. It's what you do in the plays that you play. And what he was able to do is say, Coach, you got to play me. I'm getting picks. I'm lining up and covering guys downfield. I'm doing my job at a high level. And he's right. And so what he's done is a testament to a guy coming in, working, being at the bottom because of injury, because we didn't see him, and then really just doing it week in and week out and week in and week out. And now he's experiencing, the fruits of his labor. And so I'm really proud of the young man. He's a quiet guy by nature, but he has worked, and he's worked himself to be a really productive member of our football team.
Yeah, certainly. And then to go off of that as well, how much does somebody like him help a younger player like a Tayon, who obviously, has a lot of reps and things like that? Armani had a lot of experience at Virginia Tech, and he's playing a lot here now. But yeah, how much does a player like Armani kind of help a guy like Tayon?
Tremendously. Earliest when Tayon was playing a lot of plays, when we come to the sideline, I would grab him, coach him up, and then I would see Chat on the side putting little bugs in his ear, like, hey man, shake that off. You're in good position. Hey, when this happens, remember, you got to be alert for this. And I think that's the older vet helping the young rookie sort of settle down and play, which is a different voice from his coach. And I think that helped Tayon. And the fact that now he goes in and plays for Tayon, and Tayon comes and plays for him, I think it helped them work it out as well on the field. So I think he's been really, really good for those young DBs. And even Marcus. Marcus is a true sophomore. I think hearing from a guy that's played 3-4 years at a rival institution helps those guys calm down at times. So it's a different voice in mine, and it's one that on their level.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Adam.
Charlton, how's it going, man? Great. On the military appreciation theme. Don't know if I've ever asked you, so when you were stationed at the different Air Force bases as a younger man, what was your job? What's that?
You saying I'm old?
Just a little bit younger, right? I mean, no, let's keep it settled here. No, what were your different jobs? Like, I know air to ground weapons was one of them at somewhere, right? Like, what were your different jobs? And also, how much of sort of just the lingo from that walk of life do you bring into football? Like, are you like, when you're coaching guys, are you talking, like, how much of that do you still use?
Okay. So just throughout my career, I started off I was an engineer. And so I started off as a avionics program manager. And one of my jobs early on was to take old cockpits across the world, and we updated those to digital glass cockpits. So we put new bells and whistles. So that might be in Taiwan or Japan or Germany. I was working with C-130s. I did electrical system modifications. So different communication systems that have to send signals to satellites. So basically working engineering-based programs on the money side and the warfighter side. 9/11 happened, and I was working a weapons program. And from there, we wanted to do things with special forces to put certain weapons on certain platforms at the time. And so because of that, I started doing some special forces work with air to ground munitions, putting GBU 38s on Predator drones, GBU 38s in B2s to drop 80 at a time at certain locations and targets across different parts of the country. And so from there, I went into a world that was unbelievable for an unbelievable cause after we had the terrorist attacks of 9/11. So one of my greatest roles was in the war of terror was finding ways to neutralize different things and different targets at different locations with special forces people using drones and B2s and F-16s and F-18s. And it was a joint program with the Navy. And so after doing that for about 6 years, I had an opportunity to take a career broadening assignment, and Coach Fisher DeBerry sort of took me from where I was, and I went back to the academy to be an instructor, and they put me with the football program. Really, if you look at how life pans out, not once growing up as a kid or being in the military was I going to be a football coach. At one point, I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I changed to be an engineer. And then I was going to be a career military guy and do 20 some years and probably bounce after that. I wanted to be a colonel or a general one day. And I was a major at the time. And I went back to the academy, and it just changed my life, being around kids in a different way, having to recruit young men to come to the academy and do what I was able to do, see them graduate and go fly jets and all the great things you see. That was sentimental to me, and I wanted to continue to do that. And I got the coaching bug to help develop young men. And so the power of taking a young guy from the city of Atlanta, like myself, from the inner city, like myself, recruiting him and now bring him to the Air Force Academy and see him be a second lieutenant and change the destiny of his family is unbelievable power and an unbelievable experience as a coach. Now, what I was doing in the military was awesome. I was hopefully in my time, saving lives, protecting people's lives. This was a different way for me to give back and represent. So I sort of got out of the military after 10 years of active service as a major, and then became a coach at the academy full time. Else I might still be in the military if I didn't do that. So that was my path, and that was what was set for me to do. And I love my 14 years, 10 active, 4 at the academy of the military. Wouldn't change it for anything. And I absolutely love coaching young men every single day and helping them reach their dreams a different way. From that standpoint, I'll never tear away the military part of my life, the discipline, the accountability, the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I instruct, the lessons I teach my players outside of scheme and coverage and technique. Everything sort of brings itself back really for me to discipline and accountability and service. And those words mean a lot of different things, a lot of different people, but to me, they mean something pretty dang important. And I try to put that on my players. They're not in the military, even though we'll do push-ups at time in the morning. We're fighting a different mission, but it's still an important mission. And I think my guys feel that, maybe that intensity. They feel that cloud over them of discipline and accountability. And, they got to do a lot of things the right way outside of just play ball. And I hope that brings a certain level of accountability to that room.
Possibly the best answer we've had on Zoom this year. No follow-up.
Drop the mic.
You're right.
Andrew?
Yeah, no doubt. That was good stuff. I wanted to ask you sort of along the lines of what Adam did. There are some militaristic connections between football and what
100%.
you've done or all the different branches. And I have covered some coaches in the past that had your background, and they said that there was sort of a fine line between how much you put into football. You don't want to overdo it. So for you, where is that fine line? And what are some of the things that are absolutely you could take from your past and instill in the guys now, and they can understand it, they can handle it?
I think the things you can bring that cross over is the intensity, right? The attention to detail, the discipline, not only going to class, being on time, being in the right uniform, right? But also executing a coverage, being able to, if I'm supposed to be outside 50%, I'm outside 50%. If I'm supposed to be 7 yards deep, don't be 12. And I think all those little details are exactly what makes our military unbelievable, right? And I think you can impart that on kids, and it's practical to them. What you can't do is talk over their head or say every day, like, hey, this is like me going in the desert and my life's on the line, because it's not that. and you can't make those parallels. But teamwork, camaraderie, belief in each other, taking care of your wingman, right? Taking care of the guy next to you, going to a certain type of battle, right? All those things transcend and cross over. And so for me, the way we talk, the way we communicate, one of the biggest things I learned in the military when it comes to being where you need to be is how you communicate. Man, the game of football with tempo, with formations, I mean, if it ain't communication, right? We communicate one way: name, command, and volume. And I learned that as an 18-year-old in freaking basic training. Name, command, volume. Call their name, tell them what to do, and your volume will get their attention. And if you're not communicating like that in the secondary with jet motions and FSL and bunches and all that, you have no chance to win and compete and line up. So I think those things you can impart upon these players and hold them accountable for those without making it overbearing for them every single day.
I have two other quick questions for you.
Okay.
One, have any of the players you've coached since you left the academy ended up developing an interest in going into the service and have done so when their football days were up and you were instrumental in that happening?
Do you mean the guys at the Air Force Academy or guys at
since you left the academy, when you were at the non-academy schools?
I tell you what, Donnie Miles, who when I was here in 2015, he played safety here.
Hey.
Donnie, once I left, we've stayed in contact. He actually ended up in the Army, and I think he's currently still in the Army, maybe in a reserve capacity. But he was a guy I talked to a bunch while I was here about, hey, coach, if I don't go to the league, this is interesting to me. And he was able to do that. And I would say that I was instrumental maybe in helping him do that because that was my background. That was something he wanted to get into. Now, I wanted him to go to the Air Force, but my man decided to go to the Army. But hey, it's all for a good cause.
He just did that about 3 years ago, right? Was that about 3 years ago?
Don't make me tell you a lie. Within the last 5 for sure.
Yeah. I remember when that happened. The last thing I wanted to ask you very quickly, can you tell us all the different places you were stationed?
Colorado, Warner Robins, Georgia, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, back to Colorado, and some undisclosed locations in the sandbox.
Well, maybe without the record on, you could tell us some of those places that were. That'd be very interesting. Thank you so much for your service and appreciate the honest words here. It's been good stuff.
No problem.
Adam.
Charlton, to bring it back to football, I could listen to these stories all day, but to bring it back to football, in a coaching sense, what do you think what are the broader points that need to happen for this defense to get it back to playing at the level it was, and before these 2 games happened? What do you guys got to do to get it back?
I think a little bit is this: we look in the mirror and we realize we're the same group that went out there and beat South Carolina, and we're the same group that lined up and beat Syracuse, and we're the same group that was on a upward swing. And everyday life, whether you're a coach or a football player or a dentist, right? You're going to hit some adversity in the road, and you have to be able to handle that adversity for whatever it's caused from, whatever. No one wants to hear excuses, right? We got to fix our problems. And I think we have a group of young men and a group of coaches that are committed to fixing our issues to get better, to go out and play to the level of football we know we can play, right? Be more disciplined, communicate more, a little bit more attention to detail and focus, and poise. Poise is such a big thing because as teams do this and teams do that, poise. Realize and remember who you are, what you're able to do and capable of, and go out and execute it at a full tilt manner. And when we do that, we're a pretty good group. But if we do lose focus or we do get undisciplined here or there, it just leads to bad things happening in football, in life, in any game, right? And God knows we have not this year, but we've played winning football. And that's what we got to do. We got to put plays together, drives together, quarters together, halves together, and games together of winning football to allow us to win football games down the stretch. And that's what we're all committed to do.
Appreciate it today, Charlton. Great stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coach, thanks for your service. Thanks for your time today.
Appreciate you guys, man. Have a great Wednesday, guys. See you. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you, gang.